It is a beautiful Monday and welcome to our news bulletin. Let's look at the top stories. President Hakainde Hichilema accuses the opposition of plotting divisions in the United Party for National Development. Over 800 people in KABWE district risk being displaced. United Party for National Development youth in KANAYAMA demand repossession of corruptly sold communal land. In our international headlines, at least 15 dead as Cyclone FREDDY hits Mozambique and Malawi again. Soccer fans eye CHIPOLOPOLO win over LESOTHO. We have the details shortly.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Thank you so much for joining us to present the news this evening. My name is Louisia Nalupumbwe. Over 800 people in Mpima area of KABWE district of Central Province are in danger of being displaced after the KABWE Municipal Council began selling out the land which was degazetted for the settlers in 2020 on the recognition that they have been on the land for decades. Speaking to Camnet News, Mpima Forest Farmers Association Vice President Dennis Mulenga states that the council was directed by the central government to conduct a social and economic survey on the land, which they have not done. Yet they have opted to start selling the land. The settlers are now calling on President Hakainde Hichilema to take an interest in the matter, stating that they have nowhere to go should they be displaced. We have details in this report.
While Zambia is one of the few African countries that boast of vast land wrangles have been rife, with some stakeholders in this sector arguing that the natural resource has been politicized. In the year 2020, over 800 settlers were accused of encroaching on Mpima forest land in KABWE district of Central Province and were due for eviction, but were allowed to stay after a presidential directive that the settlers should not be evicted. After the coming of the United Party for National Development UPND administration, Minister of Lands and Natural Resources Elijah Muchima and Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Garin Kombo visited the said land to assess the situation, further directing the KABWE Municipal Council to conduct a social and economic report on the land, which would be used as a basis for determining the way forward. The settlers are now worried, as they say that KABWE Municipal Council has begun demarcating and selling the land and have not done the said social and economic report on the land, fearing that they may soon be displaced. Mpima Forest Farmers Association Vice Chairperson Dennis Mulenga was speaking to Camnet News.
The council is doing things behind the back of the ministers, because the ministers came, they were there in the area last year, and they were told to do another socio-economic survey, which they have not done up to today. But instead, they are interviewing people to give land, to give plots to those new people who have money. They've told us openly that we have no money, we are poor, we cannot manage to pay for these plots. But we have been there in the area since 1980. I'm one of the first settlers. I've settled in the area for 43 years. Where do I go? Where do my children go? Where do all the 800 plus people in the area go?
Association Publicity Secretary King Hatontola has also added his voice.
We had a meeting with our Honorable Gary Kombo and Chima, who came to address the people so that we can resolve these matters here. And they realized that the council hasn't been doing the right thing, and they were ordered, that was on the 3rd of October, KABWE Municipal Council was ordered to do a new socio-economical survey. Okay? But up to date, the council are dragging the feet, they haven't done that. But to our surprise, a few weeks later, that was early November, what do we see? We saw graders coming to our area. KABWE Municipal Council hired graders from Zambia National Service, from Serege, but not from KABWE. And we literally sent those people away from that area because we said, no, we still have this, we have resolved the issues there.
The settlers say their final hope is in President Hakainde Hichilema to give a directive over the said land. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News.
A 92-year-old woman of Lusaka's Mrs. Compound has been forced to share a one-roomed house with her 41-year-old mentally disturbed grandson due to lack of financial capacity. In an interview, Evelyn Nyuhala explains that due to lack of resources and means of how she can refer her grandson to a mental health center, she is left with no option but to share the room with him. The old lady has also disclosed how she has been affected by the high cost of living, adding that she survives on a single meal a day. Details are in this report.
In a one-roomed house located in Lusaka's Mrs. Compound, Evelyn Nahala is left with no option but to live with her 41-year-old grandson, who is reportedly to be mentally disturbed. Due to lack of resources, the 92-year-old woman is forced to share a one-roomed house with her grandson, whom she still cares for. At a time when many of her age are enjoying the opportunity of being cared for by their relatives, her situation is different, as not only does she look after a mentally disturbed grandson, but also does all the home chores. Her granddaughter, who lives nearby, says she does assist whenever she can. But when questioned why she has left her grandmother to share the same house with a mentally disturbed person, she claims to equally have no financial capacity to take care of her cousin, or rather, take him to a healthy facility. Touched with her story, Helga Matanda Ascom Foundation visited the old lady and donated some groceries. The charitable organization, through its executive director, also took time to assist in cleaning the house and the dishes. The appeal has been made to various stakeholders to come on board and assist her. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
United Party for National Development Youths in Lusaka's Garden Park compound under KANAYAMA constituency have urged the Ministry of Youth and Sports to ensure that youth recreation centers that were sought during the former ruling Patriotic Front Party administration are given back to members of the community. Speaking to Camnet News, the aggrieved youths along with community members have cited Choncho grounds in the area as one such center which they say was sold to a non-Zambian national during the time Elizabeth Piri served as a Member of Parliament under the PF. They note that this has led to an increase in drug and alcohol abuse among youths, calling for the centre to be reclaimed. More in this report.
Patriotic Front PF members of Parliament during the party's tenure in office from 2011 to 2021 were accused of selling public infrastructure in communities for personal benefit, matters which community members say should be investigated by the current administration to ensure that those facilities are given back to their respective communities. This is Choncho grounds in Lusaka's Garden Park compound under KANAYAMA constituency, which members of the community say was sold to a foreigner during the time Elizabeth Piri served as Member of Parliament, leaving the community with no form of place for youth to conduct recreation activities. United Party for National Development UPND youths who were at the grounds Monday morning say they would take the matter into their own hands and take the ground back from the new owner as it is a public facility should the Ministry of Youth and Sports not come in. A check by Camnet News found that part of the wall fence that was built by the new buyer to surround the ground is already being demolished by community members.
I place tipe pakuti ibwerere bana bazipeza kusoberera polonga zavuta kuti bana basapezeke kusoberera po inspector inkale chabe clinic bamange clinic olo school bana bapezeke poponzira anatenga ndrama za grounds azibweze olo asakire ko mupereka uja anagula ni foreigner uja tufuna bativutise mna Mzambia tulibe pomanga na schools but malo wanapasa ma foreigner inali ground tufuna ibwerere so itwatenga kulibe winangu futi ise twatenga malo tambo kwa pa mu ground
yenze school but chapezeka kuti ati bagulisa bayiriza pira batigulisira ground taswana komangira school ya chani ya government so tiangane nikoni wa president please tapapata
si ground si place ya kutanga mangepo warehouse kapena garage AI e ground tabwera kutenga wana watu wavuti kapeta wapangepo school or clinic because tina maliro kuja ku 55 mwana wa wachi wala anapungiwa kuchoka ku Karundu kutali kuja so apa so mairo 5 hours tibwera kuyamba kukwapa stifuna wa polisi kutisokoneza please wa president mutianganeko kuno garden house kuno tavutika.
Community members expressed that the lack of a recreation center in the area has led to an increase in drug and alcohol abuse among youths.
Abana balambo kuba bakabola la bakala notukirikiri batupase ground yatu muntu sanga kule ground palina mapo ya bola agula ground manje nishi batukalizira chani bana bazamba karache bachakolwa bapema myamba. This is not good.
Meanwhile, Minister of Youth and Sports Elvis Nkandu has assured that the ministry will move in on Tuesday, 14th March 2023, to engage community members and appreciate the situation on the ground to determine the way forward. Zipora Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Patriotic Front PF Chulubi Member of Parliament Mlenga Fove has called for an audit of all 156 constituencies in the country to determine which constituencies are not fully utilizing the skills and bursaries component of the fund so that members of parliament can be held accountable. Speaking to Camnet News, Mr. Fove says there is need to know the absorption levels of various components of the CDF in all constituencies, stating that PF MPs are tired of being accused of trying to sabotage development in their localities. The lawmaker is of the view that this is, however, not healthy, adding that it is creating division in the country as some unnamed members of parliament were also accused of not utilizing the skills and bursaries component during his recent address in Parliament. He states that bringing erring constituencies to the fore will help in setting things right and allow the country to move forward in development.
Like the PF, members of Parliament are just there to sabotage CDF. I think this notion which has been created is no longer healthy. So I think just to throw to the wind that it is PF members of parliament that are sabotaging is not fair. It's no longer fair. And I think there is need that the president tabulates properly those consequences that are affected. So that the Zambians can then, even us as PF, we can encourage our friends, some of our friends who have not utilized that particular component, to say, this is government money, can you please utilize it? Because just to speculate that it's PF that has not been utilizing the CDF, I think it's no longer fair. We know that even the Minister of Local Government himself has given some of the PF MPs as examples of implementing the CDF. Now, to the contrary, we hear that it's PF members that are sabotaging the CDF. I think let's be fair to each other.
Ministry of Youth, Sports and Arts Permanent Secretary Kangwa has clarified the situation on the matter where some youths were purportedly stranded at the government complex after the 2023 Youth Indaba ended. Reacting to the complaints raised by some youths who were allegedly not paid allowances, Mr. Kangwa says during the Indaba, more youths than invited showed up, hence the predicament. He adds that although the ministry received a huge turnout, they still managed to handle the situation. More in the following report.
Despite President Hakainde Hichilema's efforts to rid the country of cadreism, some youths from the United Party for National Development UPND have continued to inflict fear in citizens through their affiliation to the ruling political party. Monday, 13th February 2023, a man identified as Joe Mwanza, claiming to be the UPND Alliance Youth Coordinator, rushed to stop other youths from talking about their predicaments at the just-ended Youth Indaba at Government Complex in Lusaka. The cadre opted to defy President Hichilema's directive to allow journalists to do their work without any intimidation by threatening this journalist.
Yeah, your approach. Yeah, I've already captured, I've already recorded that. Cadreism.
However, some youths who were among the delegates at the recent Youth Indaba have expressed concern over the delayed payment of their transport refund.
So when we came, there was some delayment of transport and accommodation, including lodging. So as a result, people slept somewhere, 01, 02, yes. So in the morning again, we had some challenges with the transport, yes. So we had some challenges and some delayment in terms of funds, yes. But now everything is sorted. We're still waiting for the money so that we can go back to our various places. I'm not alone. I also have other people that are also coming from where I'm coming from, and almost most of the people got paid, but some they did not get paid. So now we're waiting for the fund to come so that we can go back. Because
meanwhile, speaking in reaction to the complaints raised by the youths from different parts of Zambia who were stranded at Government Complex after the Youth Indaba, Ministry of Youth, Sports and Arts Permanent Secretary Kangwa Chileshe clarified that the confusion arose because even those who were not invited opted to turn up without the knowledge of the ministry.
Okay. We have had a challenge with young people because we've had a group of young people who we invited, and they also invited other young people who are not part of the budget. But we said we'll take them on. You will find yourself dealing with people who are complaining. Yes, some of them are complaining, and some of them, their complaints are genuine. Some of them are not genuine, because some of them we offered them money to say, please, here's money for transport, go back home. Others refused. They said, we don't want money to go back home. Give us my 3-pin. We said, do you know how many that is? Over 700 young people have come. 700. We have dispatched most of them. So for those ones who are there, it's because there were challenges. And I'm in Kitwe. Okay, and today is a holiday, for crying out loud. So I've instructed my directors to say, let them hang on, and then let us come to Lusaka and resolve those issues that we dispatched.
Beatrice Chabaya, Camnet News, Lusaka.
President Hakainde Hichilema says there is a plot by some opposition to divide the United Party for National Development. Addressing United Party for National Development members in Kitwe Monday, President Hichilema has appealed to party members not to fall in the traps of those sowing seeds of deceit but instead focus on building the party. The president has since appealed to all party members to start embracing new members who wish to join the party. The president says the party needs to grow and that this can only be done when new members are welcome and not sent away. Meanwhile, the president has condemned the violence that took place in Kitwe between the United Party for National Development and Patriotic Front Party during the Youth Day celebration.
Planting information and stories so that we start fighting amongst ourselves, so that Bawele Repo, Mutumba, Takulita Bwerapo. At the Lola Airport there, 2 or so days before election, somebody stood there and said, I'm handing over power to myself. Malawi, I'm handing over power to myself. And when I come back, I will lock up that chap, and this time he will die in prison. Now me, I'm seated here. You think you can come back and lock me up and kill me? Their belief is that they can divide us over Black Mountain. No, we will not be divided over the Black Mountain. They can divide us over CDF. No. They will not divide us over CDF. They will divide us over our youth. No, they will not divide us. They will not divide us over cabinet ministers. If a minister has not answered your call this year, whomever, where has he come upon?
Civil rights activist Bretna Changala says the current fight against corruption by the United Party for National Development Administration has turned into a source of concern rather than the pride of the country. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Changala explains that the UPND administration came into power on a backbone of uniting the country, which had been broken apart by the previous administration in terms of ethnicity and tribalism, but regrets that the opposite is being portrayed. More in this report.
Although the fight against corruption often feels like an upper hill battle, many hold the view that there are fights in this battle that are being won, and there's plenty of progress and confidence to be found. After taking over power in August 2021, the United Party for National Development Administration vowed to fight corruption, which is beyond dispute. The concern, however, from various stakeholders is that the fight is becoming a source of concern rather than the pride of this country. Civil rights activist Bretna Changala has called on the ruling party to ensure that law enforcement agencies such as the Anti-Corruption Commission, the Drug Enforcement Commission, and the Public Protector operate independent, away from the executive, and only be answerable to Parliament.
What is the methodology of fighting this corruption? This is where the elephant in the room comes in. The Anti-Corruption Commission, the DEC, the Financial Intelligence Center, the Public Protector are supposed to be independent of the executive for various reasons. The corruption, as you can see, evidently is fought and is prevalent in the arm of the executive.
Meanwhile, the civil rights activist says the UPND administration came into power on the backbone of uniting the country, which had been broken apart by the previous administration.
And we are now under the new dawn. The question now, are we united? Are we united? I will be brave enough to tell you, no, we are even more divided, because there are too many whispers which are going around that the men and women who were disadvantaged, abused, and segregated against, they have assembled to claim the share that was denied of them. And they have walked towards a dinner table, and they are loaded on the dinner table to an extent that they are failing to find space and seat to enjoy the Zambian cake. That is a homework for this new dawn. And the area they listen to this silent burning issue, the better. The fight against corruption is equally becoming a source of concern other than the pride of this country.
Although opposition political members have accused the ruling party of selective application of the law in the fight against corruption, the ruling party denies the allegations, stating that those found wanting regardless of their political affiliation will be prosecuted. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Chuangandu Member of Parliament Stephen Kampyongo says there is need for the local government to be independent of the central government if the implementation of the CDF is to be effective. Mr. Kampyongo says the local authority needs to be capacitated so that they can implement the projects recommended to them by CDF committees and not to wait on the central government to approve the projects. The Chuangandu lawmaker also says the disbursement of resources should be done at once so that projects are implemented within the stipulated time.
We want to make sure that central government remains as central government, local government as local government. We don't expect that kind of interference. The local authorities need to just be capacitated so that they can implement the projects that are recommended to them by the CDF committees in various constituencies. So, and its disbursement of funds must be done at once so that the projects are done. But what we have seen again is this centralized way of doing things, where the ministry continues to send circulars of what needs to be done. Out of the CDF, you must buy this, you must do that, you must build a house for the chiefs. You must. So, in short, there seems to be a desire by government to use CDF as an implementing tool for the decentralization policy, which is a standalone policy. And if it's implemented, we don't mind as the honorable members of parliament receiving even lesser, much lesser funds. Because when centralized governance functions are implemented and matching resources are given, we don't need to have this burden as members of parliament to do with all the development that is required in a constituency.
This is the main news on Camnet TV. Just now we take our first set of commercials. When we get back, we have more local stories to join us shortly.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. Now, Secretary to the Cabinet, Patrick Kangwa, has said Zambia is proud to be associated with Commonwealth and stands ready to continue actively playing its role in addressing common challenges. Speaking during the hosting of the Commonwealth Flag of Peace in Lusaka on 13th March 2023, under the theme of Forging a Sustainable and Peaceful Common Future, Mr. Kangwa said the raising of the flag is a sign of peace and shared values and principles among Commonwealth nations. He said there is need to take bold actions in demonstrating commitment by ensuring the youthful population is prioritized and channeling different resources to tackle the issues at hand. More in this report.
Commonwealth Day is a day when nations gather to celebrate unique bonds based on shared values and principles. Zambia joined some Commonwealth member states in commemorating the 2023 Commonwealth Day, where the Commonwealth Flag of Peace was raised in Lusaka, Monday, 13th March 2023, under the theme Forging a Sustainable and Peaceful Common Future. The event was presided over by the Secretary to the Cabinet, Patrick Kangwa.
Special flag for peace is being raised in capitals across the Commonwealth of Nations as a sign not only of our intertwined fate in the face of instability and climate change, but of our shared values and commitment as we strive to meet the steep challenges we are faced with in our quest for a peaceful and sustainable planet. This year, we mark the 10th anniversary of the signing of the Commonwealth Charter under the unparalleled leadership of Our late Majesty Queen Elizabeth.
Mr. Kanga says that Zambia is proud to associate with the Commonwealth and stands ready to continue actively playing its role in addressing common challenges where global peace and security are threatened.
At a time when global peace and security is threatened, and as energy crisis and climate-related disasters threaten to exacerbate poverty amongst the most vulnerable population. As a collective group of nations, bound by our obligation to improving the lives of our people and safeguarding the planet for future generations, we must renew our commitment to these ideals. We must take bold action that demonstrates our commitment to ensuring that our vast and youthful population is prioritized, make use of the unique strengths of our diverse family, and channel our different resources to tackle the issues of our time collectively.
Sampa Mulenda, reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
The Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency says about 52 more products are being considered for listing under the agency. Organization Head Communication Brian Hatioka says this will increase the number of compulsory standards from its current listed figure of 61 products. Mr. Hatioka says the agency has also started the process of increasing the number of compulsory standards in a bid to enhance consumer protection. He says this is in response to the increasing number of products on the market, especially those merchandise that require regulatory intervention for enhanced protection of consumers. Mr. Hatioka has named some of the products currently being listed under the regulatory intervention as lead acid batteries, poultry feed, pig feed, cattle feed, toilet soap, maize meal, refined edible vegetable oil, crude edible oil, clear beer, opaque beer, bottled water, fertilizers, white sugar, cement, peanut butter, electrical cables, plugs, socket outlets, and second-hand clothes.
The Compulsory Standards Agency has started the process of increasing the number of compulsory standards in a bid to enhance consumer protection. This is in response to the increasing number of products on the market, especially those which require regulatory intervention for enhanced protection of consumers. By having more compulsory standards, the agency will have a wider scope of covering more products in the country. Currently, there are 61 products covered under our regulatory intervention. Part of the 61 compulsory products include poultry feed, pig feed, cattle feed, maize meal, bottled water, fertilizers, white sugar, cement, peanut butter, electric cables, among others. We also have a code of practice for inspection and acceptance criteria for used textile products known as Salawula, as well as another code of practice for inspection and testing of used motor vehicles for roadworthiness.
Zambia National Public Health Institute infectious disease specialist Dr. Paul Zulu states that condoms remain effective to combat HIV and thus urging people to embrace HIV prevention intervention. He, however, says there is need to ensure correct use to avoid getting HIV infection and other sexually transmitted diseases. Speaking with Camnet News on the sidelines of the Media Science Cafe, Dr. Zulu notes that with concern that the ABC substance being faithful and condomizing approach seems not to be yielding the desired preventive measures among young people. He says it is vital to continuously explore adolescent responsive intervention in order to combat HIV in the country.
So condoms are a very effective HIV prevention method, even up to 98% effective. And in addition to just prevention of HIV, they prevent unintended pregnancies and other STIs as well, which is broader than most of these other prevention interventions that we have. But for it to work that well, they have to be used correctly, meaning they have to be worn correctly and also consistently, meaning and every time you have a sexual engagement, penetrative sexual engagement, then condoms need to be used if that is your primary form of prevention.
You are still watching the main news on Camnet TV. Just now we take our last set of commercials. When we get back, we have the rest of the stories in international and sports news.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back. And now the rest of the news. In international news, at least 15 people have been killed in Malawi and Mozambique as Cyclone FREDDY battered the region for the second time in a month. Torrential rain caused flooding and mudslides as it has made landfall in Mozambique on Saturday night before hitting neighboring Malawi on Sunday. Meteorologists say the looping pattern, which has been FREDDY strike Southern Africa twice, is extremely rare. NGOs working in the region say the rain and high winds have caused a lot of destruction, with trees falling down, roofs blown off, and buildings and homes damaged. Here's a roundup of international news.
At least 15 people have been killed in Malawi and Mozambique as Cyclone FREDDY battered the region for the second time in a month. Torrential rain caused flooding and mudslides as it made landfall in Mozambique on Saturday night before hitting neighbouring Malawi on Sunday. Meteorologists say the looping pattern, which has seen FREDDY strike the region twice, is extremely rare. NGOs say the rain and high winds have caused a lot of destruction, with trees fallen down, roofs blown off and buildings and homes damaged. But with communications and electricity supply in the storm area still down, the full extent of the damage and the number of casualties is not yet clear. The United Nations says, however, that more than 500,000 people are at risk of being affected in Mozambique this time round. Freddie is on track to become the longest cyclone on record.
Tunisian MPs had to convene on Monday after a 2-year hiatus. The new assembly was elected by about 11% in both rounds of registered voters. It will be almost impossible for the representatives to censure the government, and the president will have priority in getting laws passed. These new dispositions are the result of reforms spearheaded by President Kais Saied, who was elected in late 2019. On the 25th of July 2021, he took on full executive power, sacking the Prime Minister and suspended Parliament. In March 2022, he held a historic moment when announcing the dissolution of the Assembly of Representatives of the People to, in quotes, preserve the state and its institutions and the Tunisian people. Rachid Ghannouchi, the Speaker of the suspended Ennahda-dominated Parliament, was then accused of having plotted against state security. Since then, he has been investigated on multiple charges, including incitement and money laundering, denying all of them. On April 2022, he deplored the state of the nation's democracy. The situation in our country is not good, he told the media. The political situation has prompted thousands of Tunisians opposed to Kais Saied's rule to protest. In a divided nation, Monday's parliamentary session will bring together 154 new MPs. Their political leanings remains unclear, though. After dismantling the institutional edifice put in place by the semi-parliamentary constitution of 2014, Tunisia's president ushered his country into the era of hyper-presidentialism.
As extremist violence in West Africa's Sahel region spreads south towards coastal states, the United States military has launched its annual military training exercise aimed at helping armies contain the jihadi threat. Soldiers from several African countries are being trained in counterinsurgency tactics as part of the annual US-led exercise known as Flintlock that began last week. Some 1,300 military personnel from 30 countries are trained in Ghana and Ivory Coast. This year's Flintlock, a 2-week event, is taking place amid growing anti-French sentiment in West Africa. While most of the extremist activities is concentrated in West Africa's inland Sahel region in Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger, the violence is rapidly spreading in coastal states like Ghana, which is experiencing an upsurge in attacks by unidentified groups which could have links with jihadis.
And that is all the news we could accommodate in our international news. Time now for sports. Some soccer analysts are confident that Zambia will beat Lesotho in the 23rd March 2023 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier. Soccer fans are expecting nothing short of a win, a first match for newly appointed head coach Avram Grant, who will be in charge of his first game. Now, Zambia being in Group H of the qualifiers with Comoros, Ivory Coast and Lesotho.
Zambia will play Lesotho in the Africa Cup of Nations qualifier in Johannesburg, South Africa on the 23rd of March 2023, with Avram Grant being in charge of his first game with the national team. Zambian fans are expecting nothing but a win. In an interview with Camnet TV News, the soccer analyst Bernard Kweto has expressed optimism in the team selection by the new coach Avram Grant. Others spoken to say they are expecting a lot from the new head coach in the game against Lesotho, further reiterating that fans only want a win.
The locally based players that have been assembled by coach Avram Grant, those are the players that will be expected, to make at least 60% of the national team. So from the pool of the locally assembled players, we have a lot of expectations as soccer fans, and we are so optimistic that at the end of it all, coach Avram Grant is going to pick the best squad. So looking at how the international best players have been performing, from Emmanuel Banda, Edward Chilufya, Patson Daka, as well as Fashion Sakala, I think it will be an interesting back-to-back encounter against Lesotho. So we're expecting a lot from our boys, from the players, and we're expecting Coach Avram Grant to pick the best squad. As you know, we've not qualified to the Africa Cup of Nations in the last 3 editions, but we just expect at least,
the soccer fans were expecting a lot under the new coach. You know, the Chipolopolo, they haven't been to the AFCON, which is a mega peace show in Africa for the past 4 consecutive editions. So what we are expecting in the forthcoming games against Lesotho is a big win. We can tell by the team which was assembled by the coach Grant, that shows something positive side, because he has picked quite informed players who have been assembled as a local side, and we are expecting the inclusion of the foreign-based players will be joining very soon. The likes of Fashion Sakala and the likes of Patson Daka, who recently scored against Chelsea. So it's a plus for us, and we are expecting a lot as the soccer fans.
Meanwhile, Moses Mpundu, sports analyst, has urged the Zambian national team not to underestimate Lesotho as they face them in the upcoming match, which will be on Thursday, 23rd March 2023.
Respect the players that our coach has grouped together, the local ones, and we want to believe that he knows what he's doing. Number 2, I personally, I believe that the challenge will be us underrating Lesotho, because football has evolved. You underrate any team at your own peril. Okay? Zambian people have confidence in our coaching Grant. And Zambian people are a bit crazy about soccer. So I just hope that Grant knows what he's doing, because I saw the team that he had put together. There are people that there are players that probably don't have much ball game.
Jabulani Chilwa, Camnet News, Lusaka.
We now come to the end of the main news, but before we go, we look at some of the top stories that made the news. President Hakainde Hichilema accuses the opposition of plotting divisions in the United Party for National Development. Over 800 people in KABWE district risk being displaced. United Party for National Development youths in KANAYAMA demand repossession of corruptly sold communal land. In international headlines, at least 15 people died as Cyclone FREDDY hits Mozambique and Malawi again. And in sports, soccer fans eye CHIPOLOPOLO win over Lesotho. We now look at the Camnet verse of the day, coming from Malachi 4 verse 2. But for you who revere my name, the Son of Righteousness will rise with healing in its rays, and you will go out and frolic like well-fed calves. Thank you so much for watching. On behalf of the entire production and news crew, my name is Louisiana Lupumbwe. It's bye for now. God bless and enjoy the rest of our programmings on Camnet TV. Good night.